I'm tired.
The Late Morning Program with Namarasa podcast.
Hare Krishna, everyone. You're listening to the number one Hare Krishna podcast in the world, the Late Morning Program. I'm your host, Namarasa. I'm here with a recurring guest, Yogi Nataraj Prabhu, Gaur Nataraj Prabhu, and also his good wife, Sundari Devi Dasi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hare Krishna, thank you for having us on the world's best Hare Krishna television show. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. So I love to bring you both on because you talk a lot about health and about caring for ourselves in a natural way, and I really applaud what you're doing. So I wanted to show your new book that you have out, and just a little bit of a background on the book, and also Sundari, a little bit about yourself as well, because we know a lot about Gaur Nataraj Prabhu, but we don't know so much of your background. How did you get? Let's start with you. How did you get into health and also this detox book, and what kind of spurred you to talk about this subject, detox?
Yes, so basically, The Food for the Soul, the first book, and the second book, both are my own journey. And being a devotee throughout my life, I'm from Mumbai and I grew up. My father was a life member, and I've always been a Hare Krishna throughout my life. And it was, I always had a desire to do cookbooks, but it was never happening. But only when I had a lot of health challenges, like my first baby and the second baby, and being a Hare Krishna devotee, I wanted my health care and to recover myself, to be more sattvic. Like anything, any activity you do, you could do like vigorous workout, go to the gym, do whey protein, and don't eat the food and everything. I'm like, this is something just does not fit into my sadhana lifestyle. This is something which just does not resonate with what I am right now. I'm bhakti, I'm a yogi, and I need to have something which is very sattvic, and I know it also fits into the routine very easily. First and foremost thing, having children, like you have time for nothing basically. You somehow manage it, and that's how I got into that journey. And then what happened is, of course, the background was getting married to a yogi. Must have been in a he should be, a yogi in Himalayas. He accidentally bumped into me and we got married. But yeah, so basically it is his influence that I used to be like chappan bhoga specialist. I used to cook so much, but I refined my knowledge after marrying a yogi, and he's like, oh, I can't eat this, what did you, oh no, I can't do this. And so he trained me into yoga. Like he made me do teacher training. He sent me to traditional yoga school back in South India. After we got married, I used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So definitely the aspect of food for the soul, like he is the, like the sutradhari. He gave me the sutras, he gave me the outline of how a diet should be, like sattvic and light, and and definitely he wanted somebody who could help his own journey. And then that's how it started. We changed our diet, we changed our lifestyle for ourselves. And he definitely had a beautiful vision that yogi devotees need to have a very thoughtful diet and lifestyle approach. And he's been doing this for so many years. So definitely the thought behind the book and the idea of making that detox fasting, he was the first person to fast. All that. So yeah, that is the background of how we tailored everything to suit our sadhana, our consciousness, our journey ahead. And most of, like, this is just a nice highlight for all the devotees. And a lot of inspiration is from Srila Prabhupada books and teachings.
Really?
Yes, definitely. Like devotees are really not reading all the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and we used to read a lot. And before coming to the States, he had a book called Krishna Yoga, and the entire book, like the first 30% the extraction was from all the purports of Srila Prabhupada, of what he talks about the practice of yoga, and how he encourages, and how he speaks about particular asanas and everything. So I think that was the inspiration, because I'm bhakti yogi. I didn't do yoga before. I have to be honest. I
Right.
got inspired by him, and I was so indecisive whether I need yoga or whether I don't need. I'm fine. But then when I started adapting the practices of yoga, and especially the kriyas, the cleansing and the diet, I used to be a severe allergic person. Any season change, I would have mucus. I used to have a lot of allergy problems and everything. And then when he showed me all the cleansing processes, I'm like, oh, who's going to do this? But when I learned, and I was like entire year, I'm free from allergies, and I'm able to chant. I'm able to wake up early. I'm able to do so many things, because the breath, prana. If you breathe properly, then you have energy. If you don't breathe, then you don't have energy. So definitely, first, he had to convince me, honestly, too. And then once I convinced, it has been a journey so far, and I think it's going to be lifetime to bring bring this beautiful teachings of yoga and bhakti put together. Because if you want to advance in Krishna consciousness, if you really want to come to the Shuddha Sattva Guna, you definitely have to take care of your diet and have your lifestyle. And many devotees are confused how to do it, where to start, and like what to change and why to change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, why
If you
to
could,
change.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's just a little bit of the story. I don't want to pull too long, but
sure.
yes. And that's, both the books are my own journey. I wanted to change my own diet, my own lifestyle, and homeschool the kids. I cannot pull extra time for anything, but I have to still, like, you have to bring everything into your world. You cannot like go do something for yourself. And I wanted to be there for my kids. And I think out of the desire of wanted to do nothing, it's still so much is manifested. It's Krishna's grace.
That's great. What are the differences? Because I know Nataraj Prabhu presented the first book in our previous episodes, but for the book that just recently came out, what's the difference between those two? Yeah, please hold them up. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
for everyone's knowledge. So this was our first book.
No, this
No,
was
this
the
was the
first.
first book. So this was our first book, Food for the Soul.
Yeah.
We still, we sold more than 3,500. Thanks to your show, we saw
After that, many
many-
joined the Chandrayana fasting.
many
Yeah.
joined the fasting.
All right.
Yeah. So this book was more simple. Like I would say, it was like a simplified fasting. The whole idea of
Yeah.
fasting. But what we realized was, like, I met several diabetics and people going many health issues. Fasting does help you overcome many health issues. But the point is, how long will you fast?
Yeah.
And you cannot just fast. Like, I was shopping at one of these stores, and I was buying some figs, fresh figs. And there was this lady, and she was a diabetic. And I was like buying figs like anything. I love figs. And this lady is not buying much. I'm like, I'm a diabetic. I said, wow, okay. I said, do you fast? Do you do this? Yeah, but how long will I fast? So that's when I realized that, because I also went through a difficult phase at one point of time, and my health really went down. So fasting did rejuvenate me, right? But then, how long will you fast? So
And a follow up
what
after fast. Yeah.
what Krishnamacharya says, whom I respect a lot, who is the pioneer of the yoga of in the modern world today. He is the Sri Vaishnava. The Sri Vaishnava founder. He came in his dream, and he gave him yoga. And yoga, he calls yoga as a sadhana for bhakti. Right? He does mantra. He says the most important sutra he writes that inspired me. In the Yoga Sutras, there is a sutra called Pratna Saitilya Ananda Samapatti Bhyam. How should your body, asana, movement be? He says your body should be so relaxed, so energized when practicing yoga, asana, that you are able to Ananta Samapatti Bhyam, always meditate on Lord Ananta, who is the Adhara. He says he interprets it that way. And that's why I consider him. And he talks a lot because he literally reversed many health issues just with yoga. And that was a great thing at that time. And he says, Krishnamacharya says that to maintain a sattvic diet where you don't overeat, because overeating, this is my PhD actually, insulin resistance, overeating, that causes, it's not just a physical damage. And I've seen it myself. It's not just physical overeating. It also gives you brain fog, stress, and even you want to chant. Many times we don't realize it is too many puris. That don't let it. So the goal of this book is to give you delightful recipes.
Yeah, they are all good,
where
wholesome recipes.
Recipes where you eat, and you can eat. And the thing is, if you see this, when you eat junk food, there's no limit. You just keep on eating. You don't feel like stopping. But whereas something which is healthy and good tasting, or you won't overeat. Right? We have seen that. So this book is a set of like really very healthy. We have so many recipes out here, beginning with juices, and we have some pasta, and we have some of. But this is all like lentil millets, basically. A lot of millet recipes. Even you have idlis, but they are millet. They are not heavy on rice. And
So I'll just give a quick outline. So the entire book is free from rice and wheat and sugars and corn. That is one.
Wow.
Just to add a point
Yes,
here.
that's the leading cause of so much of brain fog, and then hormonal imbalances, thyroid, and for men, insulin resistance that turns into diabetes. So our diet is way too rich, too much of starch.
Too much of
Too
wheat.
much of starch.
Wheat
and
also.
Wheat is like daily diet. And many debate that this was the staple food. We ate wheat, and in the other part of the world, we ate corn, and we ate what is called rice. But that is not true. That is not true.
Actually,
and then you have to
if you look at when we did our research on wheat and rice, I found many books, famous books, that talk about how today's wheat is the cause of most allergies. Number one. Today's wheat, it's not wheat, because the actual wheat in the 1950s and 60s used to be about 10 feet tall, 7 to 10 feet, the wheat stalk. Today it's hardly 4 feet. So it's been altered so much to meet the growing demand. So it's in quantity, but it's not in quality.
Yeah.
And that's when we found that although wheat is mentioned in our scriptures, like there's so many puris.
Grains. Yeah. Prabhupada talks about grains a lot.
Yeah, luchi, chini, all these things, they are puris with the rice, with the sugar. But the thing is, the way they are altered today, they are so difficult to digest. That's the problem.
And the main aspect of the book is that many devotees or many yogis who join is like, what is the option when you say reduce this, reduce, not eating rice every day, not eating potatoes and starch and wheat. What are the options? So this is like a practical guide. That entire book, I cannot say it gluten free because we are using barley, and barley has a little bit of gluten, but the barley is it comes under shita, means in Ayurveda it means it is cooling in diet, whereas wheat is heating and warming, and that's why one of the reason is that allergy triggers. So that is one aspect of the book where we giving you so many varieties, and even if you eat for 15 days from this book, rice would not come in, and you'll have a menu full of so much of varieties. And then second thing in Ayurveda, chikitsa vibhaga, when you are trying to cure from particular imbalances, because Ayurveda doesn't stamp you with disease, like you have diabetes, you have cancer. It doesn't stamp you. It goes back to the root of the elemental imbalances. So it asks you to follow patya. Patya means some dietary restrictions which are going to come. They are going to block the healing process when we do the treatment, introducing you to the kashayam, to the teas and herbs and rasayana, or whatever exercises of yoga. those things in your diet are going to block the consciousness and your physiology to heal further. So some of the highlights in Ayurveda are, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplant, chilies. So this book is free from all those. You would not find those in the book because we are doing chikitsa vibhaga. Generally, they are fine. If somebody has no issues, you consume them, you may not have any heavy imbalances or heavy disease or things like that. But when we are dealing with constant chronic health issues, then Ayurveda ask you to take out all those which is causing inflammation, which is causing excess ether and air to blow out into your joints and your migraines. And I mean, that's how you have migraines and
No,
arthritis.
by
So that is one of the why, that is why I am naming it as detox, because we are following all the Ayurvedic concepts and the protocols of chikitsa vibhaga, of healing, like that. So
now, even in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it explains. So she talked about a very important point. That is, if you have chronic health issues, then you give up this, you give up that, and the things which cause allergy. But then in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and even in general books where yogic sadhana is talked about, it talks about patya. It talks about what you should and what you should not eat. It's there, right? Like in general, we talk about vegetarian, right? So then the beginning, right? Other day I was reading an article by Keshav Krishna Prabhu, right, about devotees and very senior devotees. Now, if you talk about the regular ISKCON diet, many of them are too old to eat such heavy food. They need a very lighter food.
yeah.
Now,
It's actually good to begin with, but then when you go serve your Guru Maharajas and serve the senior Vaishnavas, you would see that how they have altered their entire diet and lifestyle. So it's okay. Like you begin with prasadam, it's like sumptuous, it's a lot, it's like filling, and the sweet, the sugar, gulab jamun, and everything, because that brings you there. But then you have to go further. So that's
But you're not saying that if you don't have any chronic issues that that it's okay that we eat
no.
no.
like all the things that you didn't put in the book, right?
No.
It's not just for
No.
people with chronic.
Like we
Yeah.
said, this book is specifically, you can eat tasty even without them.
Yeah.
Right.
Even without them, you can
Yeah.
eat tasty and healthy. See, the thing is, for example, even in Ayurveda, it talks about rice, as a healing. But that rice is like raw red rice. Not like, like the white polished rice. What I realized was the white polished rice that we eat in general, that has all the protein removed from it, all the bran removed from it, and they sell it to you separately. Just like milk. Milk, according to like Srila Prabhupada says, it is a miracle food. But what are they doing to the milk? They are removing the fat. And that fat-free so-called milk is actually damaging to the body. That is damaging because that is supposed to, experiments have proven, studies have proven that raises your insulin levels. So if you take full fat milk,
Whole
milk, that gives you the brain cells that Prabhupada is talking about. It's the fat. It's healthy fat. So there is healthy fat.
Yeah.
Now in this book, what we have done is, now currently rice, most of the rice that is available is like polished. Like wheat is again, like it has gluten and it has. So we have excluded that. But like she said, that point, actually many devotees whom we get into our fasting program, they asked, you say no wheat, no rice, no eggplant, no potato. What do you
No, yeah.
and what do you eat? So then we thought, okay, if you want to do this on a mass scale, now we need to give people healthy alternatives. Otherwise it's very easy. We will go back to our previous diet. So in this,
so this is like this is answer to of course, to support his PhD program, because we're going to share all the recipes. Okay, we're going to stop eating all this, but then eat what? So we have those books, and then those, so many, like over 2 years, so many devotees have done the 21-day detox and the Chandrayaan fast, and they're like, okay, now we need more variety. We need the same kind of diet and lifestyle, but with much more variety, because they're not going to fast. They like, it's good to fast like every 6 months. They'll come back. They just need another reset, and then they want to go back, but they don't want to go back and eat the same thing which caused all the inflammation, which caused all the health issues, and they want better, healthier options. So of course this book is also for them, and it is going to be very helpful for our own studies, my master's and his PhD. And the idea is about his books. The reason we are investing so much time and energy, because first of all, writing the books is such a purification process for us. It really purifies our own consciousness. It's very uplifting. It takes a lot of sattva guna to really sit down, and study, open through the Ayurvedic textbooks, and doing that. But all glories to Srila Prabhupada books. Only if you have read Prabhupada books thoroughly, all the other scriptures, it's like, it's pre-digested for you. You understand them better. You kind of grasp the real essence of it, and then you can then come out, bringing it into how you can present it to others. So, totally blessed to have, Srila Prabhupada books read as as young as possible when we were. And then the idea is we want to do as many books as possible, because eventually the reason we went to do our further academic gain more credentials over here is like we wanted to do more like a full-fledged college or a university. And then when our school is registered and everything is there, but when we got to know what we need to have to really do something substantial like this, is that we need to have more credits. We need to be certified. Over here, our degrees are back from India. So then we thought, okay, COVID is going on and the kids are young, they are small, and we have to be with them, and you have to enjoy them with everything that you have, all the difficulties given and so on. And we said, okay, we'll just, so I pushed him, you go, you study, at this, because you're not going to travel, and we just have to be behind the screen, and we have to teach from being in the house, and you could invest that time. He's a super brainy person. I have to pull him out into the world.
Going back to
There's one point I would like,
please.
one point I would like to add. What started another thing, why we came up with this also. Our Hari Parshad Prabhu, he also told me this very nice point. He said, Prabhuji, could you do something on Pradnya Aparadh? Could you talk about Pradnya Aparadh? And that word, it was for the first time. So I was starting my PhD and I was doing this diabetes. 90 million people in America have this. And I went through a tough phase where, I was also very imbalanced. So when I read this Pradnya Aparadh, that's when I realized Atyahara, Prayasa, all these things. This is all intellectual deviation.
Mistake of
In
intelligence.
Ayurveda, it says that all diseases are because of intellectual, either lack of intellect or ignoring, the intellectual points as in the scripture,
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
Pradnya means,
Aparadh,
for example, it says morning, in Ayurveda it says, don't eat a heavy meal in the morning, right? It says, and it says one should not eat, like one should do Sandhya Vandanam. The Sandhyas one should use only for meditation. One should not eat during the Sandhya. One should not eat late night. One should not sleep during the day if one is Kapha and Vata Prakriti. So there are so many things there. And it says if you don't follow these rules, then you have committed an intellectual offense. And that leads to disease, like eating wrong things at the wrong time.
yeah.
And we don't even realize, because people have the same diet throughout the year, right? Today. And that is the problem. The second thing is, what I realized was in Ayurveda, it says, and today's studies have proven that you have to eat at definite times. You cannot snack in between. And today it has been proven that snacking in between, today the problem is we have so many snacks available all the time. And eating snack in between. So Ayurveda, it says the digestion is Lord Vishnu. And eating is a sacred activity.
Right.
And you have to invoke the fire. Like morning, you take healing. So our book begins with that morning juices, chia recipes, all these things, teas, where you activate, where you invoke your fire, and you become very focused. And then by lunchtime, by noon, as the sun rises, so we have also a clock, right? So we also have the Manipura chakra, and Lord Vaishwanara, Vishnu, he also moves along with the sun. So he also gets activated. So that's when the lunch is activated. That's when the Agni is
Time,
activated.
yeah.
The lunch, lunchtime
the lunch.
Agni. And that should be your major meal. Now, after that, sometimes we end up eating ice cream or some snack. After that, then dinner, like most of the people who came to us for, counseling, we found that, and today it's a common thing, most people have a big belly and most people have a big dinner. So that was the main cause, because you either sleep or you digest. So we kind of corrected that. And in the book, so we have put for dinner, for example, how to eat healthy soups. So you can take those soups, even if, like it'll fill you, but it will not make you like that bloated or heavy and things like that. So we came up with this whole Ayurvedic cycle, following the intellect,
Dinacharya,
Those,
basically.
so what is important in Ayurveda, it is said the sun and the moon cycles, and our body is programmed to that. Now, if we do not understand this, or if we do whatever we feel like today it is said, when I got an opportunity. That was the great thing about Maharshi University. As I started my PhD, they also gave me an opportunity to study masters in Ayurveda. So I done my masters in yoga. So I did a quick masters. It was like a crash course.
Finish.
So that it could help me in my PhD.
This professor is like, you have to do this.
And it was an amazing journey. And I found there are so many things. Prahladananda Maharaj's book, what Srila Prabhupada said, if you look at it deeper, Srila Prabhupada gives now, for example, when Balimardan from Australia, he writes to Prabhupada, I am having headaches. And Prabhupada writes back to him that you are having constipation. Right? So he says, eat like this, do this, eat this, healthy, and he gives him so Prabhupada knew that. Right, but during that time he had to give the bullets because they were on a mission, right? And today we are leading mostly like a professional, systematic life. So we need to get into a systematic diet. That's the thing. So
One question I have is, different in Ayurveda, different people have different consistencies, like kapha and all that, and all those things. I'm not so familiar with them, but it's not that everyone. Is it okay for some devotees to eat certain things and for some devotees not to, or should everyone across the board not give up or try to give up starches and nightshades and all those other things? So isn't it I guess my question is, isn't it according to the person's consistency?
Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. There is Ayurvedic body types, and owing to that, you have. See, Ayurveda is a very sophisticated, personalized approach. So every particular dosha, like I may have sneezing, cough, and I may have particular illnesses going on, but my aggravation is due to the dhatus, my constitution. It could be just kapha, and somebody who is pitta constitution, even that person is experiencing mucus, but then it could be ignited through the imbalances of pitta. So definitely the roots are different, and the diet is also different for vata, pitta, and kapha. And then Ayurveda also talks about samadosha, which means that diet, the guidelines, which is good for all three doshas. So most of the recipes would be samadosha, three doshic. So then there is, like, for example, quinoa is a grain for kapha dosha. Quinoa is light. It has the qualities of ether and air. It is very light. So kapha means one who has earth and water. qualities, the gunas of earth and water is kapha prakriti. So rice and tapioca and potatoes, they are like, of course potatoes is also high in vata, but it also has starch. So those are the things which will aggravate kapha, which means a kapha body type eating the same ingredients which also have the gunas of kapha will make you gain more weight. But then if I eat the qualities, if I eat quinoa, which is also having protein, but it doesn't have the same gunas of my constitution, so that will help me maintain my weight and lose my weight. So same thing goes when somebody is of pitta prakriti, like, a lot of heat in the digestive system, and even the body is of pitta type, so they need to eat shita, they need to eat red rice, black rice, they need to eat cooling ingredients into their diet, because not everybody, like you'll see in your family, like somebody who likes spices, another person is like, I can't do spices.
Yeah.
So that itself an indication, okay, this person is having excess pitta, like there is a lot of heat in the blood and the digestive tract, the esophagus, so there is he or she cannot tolerate heat. And then there is person who is more of a earth kapha constitution, who tolerates the spice level, or kind of dissolves it better than the other person. So here are the symptoms to know that they are, there is vata, pitta and kapha in all different body types. But despite whatever is your body type, whether you're vata, pitta and kapha, vata, pitta, pitta vata, kapha, like there are like 6 different types of Ayurvedic bodies, and very few would have vata, pitta, kapha, all 3. Despite whatever is your underlying body type, you still have all 3. The 5 elements which transform into the 3 doshas. In every human's body, the all the 3 doshas are constantly working in your physiology to come back to balance. They are just constantly trying. So when it says like aggravates like. So for example, if I'm kapha prakriti, so if I eat too much rice, if I do, so it's going to aggravate my kapha. So I have to introduce the diet and protocol which is going to pacify kapha and at the same time balance my elements. So these are like some of the basics of Ayurvedic details of how you balance, your 3 doshas, and
But
that gives a good
By
introduction
the
on
way,
that.
I have in the book in the
In the
beginning
book we have explained it,
introduced the Ayurvedic body type.
and then we
Oh,
also
so yeah, I was gonna ask because how, like for someone like me, I hear so much about it, but I don't know which type I am.
yeah.
So you can actually read these symptoms. For example, if you are lean, airy, kind
Yeah.
of, so that is vata combination. So all of us have kapha, pitta, vata, right? But what percentage each dosha dominates us? So if you are heavy, bulky, and
Good muscle and bone
good
structure.
muscle bone structure, then it's kapha. So if you are in between, kind of, like pitta is like a kshatriya, is like a warrior. He's not too fat, not too lean, but he's like a warrior,
Yeah.
like in between. So that is pitta dominating. So mostly we are in between. We are pitta, like most of us today. And then because of our diet for a long time, Ayurveda also says that we alter our nature. So suppose we have been eating too much pasta, right, or too much rice, then we also gain those qualities, right? So what we have given is in this book. So we have given an
we give a
introduction
of the 3 doshas.
to understanding, and many people found it very beneficial so far already.
Yeah.
Then for each recipe, we have given whether it's beneficial for a kapha, pitta, or vata.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
really helpful.
I mention it, like
Yeah,
for example,
here.
let's go to cinnamon tea, so that I can give a good understanding of. Here is
The cinnamon tea.
yeah, cinnamon. So this is Ceylon cinnamon tea. So here is the tea, and then I on the top of over here.
I'm still here. I'm just making you full screen.
Yeah, over here I've been the recipes over here.
Okay.
This page. So I don't know if you can see. So
I'm trying to see it. Yeah.
here, I'm saying over here, good for vata and kapha and occasionally for pitta. So the reason I'm saying it that this is occasionally good for pitta, because cinnamon is pitta in nature.
Mhm.
It's going to be very heating. Its quality, the virya, vipaka, the gunas, the after post digestion effect is also which is going to give you more heat in the body. So somebody with kapha dosha would definitely benefit from it, and even somebody with vata. So, and then I'm also adding few mint leaves in the recipe over here.
Mhm.
Sorry, can wait like
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm adding mint in the recipe because mint is again cooling element in the diet. So the main reason of mentioning about occasionally for pitta dosha is because somebody who is pitta dominant in their body type cannot have this on regular basis. It is going to throw pitta out of balance. It's going to give more acidity than digesting the food. But
Mm.
but the other doshas would benefit from it. And then again, to balance the pitta, I am adding a little bit of mint leaves. So it's just not recipes. There is a little bit of Ayurvedic science application explained with the recipes, and most of it we have tried to make it all samadosha as much as possible, that all the recipes could be good for three doshas, because when they are
Anybody.
three dosha, then it comes under it comes under the Ayurvedic detox properties. So there are some herbs which are good for all three doshas. And then
For
I mean,
for someone who's listening to this, it's like very technical in some ways.
yes,
So, what would you say to someone who wants to start living a more Ayurvedic friendly lifestyle, diet, but they can't exactly jump in 100%, like, know this, know that, this is going to aggravate your dosha, or this is going to aggravate that. Like,
yes,
that's like, it's going to come down the line from reading the book and
yeah.
studying and things. But for someone who's a very beginner, what would you say to someone? How do we start that in a very beginner?
So first of all, don't worry about the terms Ayurveda, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Just don't worry about all these terms. Think about your disease, your health problems, your chronic problems, your consciousness, and all that you're dealing within the body and outside your body is just not for yourself. You are part of a big universe, and then this entire universe, talking we'll not talk about the five elements. It's about trying to harmonize. It's about connecting and finding, like, you are in a flow of energies, and when you block particular nature's energy, then that's when you create imbalances. So think about Ayurveda to be something like this, which is there to inspire you how you could have your entire consciousness, your diet and lifestyle flow in the form of the nature. Talking about the weather, talking about say about the day, like how you begin your day. So because in Ayurveda, like, even the seasons, even the day, and even your lifespan is all divided into vata, pitta, and kapha. So it's okay if you don't understand or relate to these terms, but think about that you're really looking for inspiration where you could connect with the nature. You could connect and forget vata. Today, how am I feeling? What is my feeling today? Am I feeling like brain fog, heavy? I can't move. I feel I don't have mental clarity to do something, and I feel like I just need to sit down. So that is more of earth and water element. It's like you want to sit down. So that means there is a kapha imbalance. And think about, I'm feeling very indecisive. I'm feeling my mind is constantly distracted. I can't focus. I really cannot. So think about, look at the air moving, look at wherever there is ether, the air is moving. So relate to that particular symptom is related to vata.
So you're saying that someone can understand how they are, how healthy you could say they are, by seeing what their mind is doing, or how they're feeling, the
Feeling.
fog, or the, indecisiveness, or things like that. So those are characteristics of someone who might need to change their diet, or so to
yes,
say.
yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
And
Because
then pitta, let's finish it. Then pitta, like, a lot of anger, a lot of nature, that unforgiveness. You can't forgive, you can't let go. So some of it is imbalances of pitta, because Ayurveda is not just about your body, your health. It goes far beyond that. It just
Wow.
goes far beyond that.
Okay, by the
And
way, now I have to say this. As she told this, it struck before I forget.
Yeah.
So I was reading this as I was doing this master's, and then my professor comes up and says, "You see, people who are very attached, they have a kapha imbalance. You see, people who get very angry, their pitta is imbalanced. Those who are very indecisive, lack of focus, they have vata imbalance." And I went back and I read and I saw that is yes. So a thought which is like you get very attached, even without it gradually imbalances. So what happens in your mind percolates into the body as an imbalance,
yes,
or you take up like overeating, then it gives your mind your imbalance of kapha that converts into an energy that makes your mind attached. So that's why when we overeat, we get a brain fog, because that's when I was able to relate. And for me, that was as a devotee, we have been told, oh, we have to be angry, if we should not get angry, this and that. Then I realized, oh my God, our food is causing all of this.
Wow, that's huge. That's a
Yes.
really I didn't know that at all.
And
So
that-
yes.
is that described? Do you describe that in the book or anything regarding?
Yes. So
Yeah, we have given a glimpse of the three dosha,
in the
their
beginning-
imbalances, and
in the beginning, I have given the steps. Actually, I went through the best of times and the worst of times. And when I came out of the worst of times, these were when I followed the scripture, when I followed these steps, I got the best results. I could really see the fasting, but then how you come out of the fasting. Now, one of the things that I learned, looking at, because when I'm doing PhD now, for everything paper that I write, I have to write different papers. Now, one of the papers was by somebody on fasting, on Ekadashi fasting and other fasting. He has written about many religions. Now, he says, if you are not able to fast smoothly, calmly, that's an imbalance.
Right.
He says that if, however, you are able to fast calmly, that means your insulin is the main hormone that tells your food where to go in your body. So he says that means you have an insulin imbalance. That's when I realized, oh my God, because I know some devotee friends of mine say as soon as they think of Ekadashi, they get hungry. The next
Yeah, there's like some kind of like reaction that happens in the body when you hear like, oh,
Yes.
tomorrow's Ekadashi, like so people get that reaction.
and we do everything to kind of subvert it.
yeah.
But the real mental benefit of that, we are missing out. The essence of the benefit, that's when I gradually, as I read more about how kapha imbalance leads to attachment, pitta imbalance leads to anger, jealousy, enviousness.
Wow.
Vata imbalance leads to lack of focus, lack of memory,
Yeah.
So
coming back to your question, how would somebody who is new hearing to the terms might feel a little overwhelmed? So coming back to that question is to, like, first of all, forget the terms and just connect. Think of ways to connect with nature, and then think of your own symptoms, like I mentioned, the vata, pitta, and kapha, and observe your symptoms. And from there you begin. So now kapha imbalances, though I need to lighten my diet. I need to have things which are low in starch but more in a way that they ignite the pitta qualities, and they kind of bring brightness into my consciousness. So somebody who is of vata constitution would bring those what do you call, the other elements to bring back into balance. So basically what you are like what wait one second basically what you would do is not dive into the terms, is what I'm trying to explain, but rather focus on the symptoms and the qualities and go from there. go
Wonderful.
from there.
Actually, qualities. Talking about qualities.
That's the main. Yeah.
So Ayurveda says you can correct yourself by understanding your qualities. It talks about 20 qualities: heavy, light, dry, wet, right? Then snigdha, then slick, like oily. All these different
Yeah, unctuous and
unctuous. So
dry.
all these different qualities that are there. So suppose you have mucus, cough. So you are wet, right? So you need to dry. So what do you take? Dry ginger, for
Mm.
example, right? So that's how you go with logic.
Yeah.
Now, some people, like in winter, winter is Vata season. Vata means dry,
Yeah.
like snow is cold, dry, right? Dry. So people get a lot of dryness, and many people lack vitamin D, right? So what do? So you build the opposite quality. So you keep yourself, what you eat should be like more wet to overcome the dryness. It should be hot. So more soups, or like whatever you eat should be like khichdi type. So in this
Nothing
way,
should be dry.
So in this book, we have also given that which quality it will affect. And most of
Basically, the diet is not the same throughout the year.
Yeah.
yes,
Exactly.
it's
There
not
is
good.
Rutucharya,
Rutu
diet
Charya.
which is not same throughout the year because seasons are changing. So
Yeah.
everything in the nature is changing. So you also have to change the way you eat, the way you
Right.
adapt. So that is what is Rutucharya. You adapt according to the nature.
Seasons.
So even the seasons are classified into three doshas, and even your ages, like when the younger ages, they are more in kapha dosha. No matter whatever my children, like your children, whatever they are, whatever is their dominant body dosha type, but children are more prone to mucus related disease. They everything, it's always mucus, like flu, this, that, pneumonia, everything is just mucus. And then when you come towards teenage, towards when you are going to hit the puberty and you're going, then there is the personality. You see, all teenagers have this personality crisis. I do teens yoga, and I do one-on-one classes for teenagers, and there is pitta. There is, it's coming out, their personality. They have acne breakout, and their personality, they are exploring. So it's very hard to speak to a teenager. It's very hard to
A lot of heat.
yeah, it's very hard. That is pitta
Right.
imbalance, because they're just
Right.
coming out. Their dosha changed. They are dominant with pitta qualities for that age of life. So then that is pitta, and then towards the old age, you come towards vata, and that's when old age people are prone to joint problems, all kinds of aches and pains, and things like that. So even your lifespan is kapha pitta vata.
Oh.
Seasons are also kapha pitta vata.
For example, summer is pitta.
Day is also,
Heat.
even the entire day, there is kapha gala, pitta gala, and vata gala. So morning 6 a.m. to 10 is kapha time.
Kapha.
So that's the time you should not be eating heavy. You should be eating light. 10 to 2 p.m. is pitta. So
Pitta.
that's the time you have digestion. The jatara agni, the main digestive fire, is ignited, and it's ready to digest some food. And from 2 to 6 p.m. is vata. And then again, the same thing, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So that's why when you eat after 6 p.m., you wouldn't digest, and you cannot sleep very well, because Agni is missing, because the Agni time is 10 to 2 p.m. and 10 to 2 a.m.
Right.
Yeah. So if you are like, when we sit up late in the night doing our studies and doing our assignments, so if it crosses 11:30, 12, we begin to feel little hunger, because we are in the second phase of pitta. So we
Right.
need tea. So Ayurveda is a sophisticated science. Don't feel overwhelmed. It's rather be encouraged to get little bit details,
Yeah.
and then you will benefit a lot. I mean, to an extent that you will prevent so many unnecessary health issues that you have been having.
Right. Going back to you mentioned characteristics of someone who has having brain fog or jealousy or excessive anger or things like that. What are, for someone like our age, middle-aged person, what are characteristics of someone who is balanced? Like, for someone who has that balance, what are they like?
So basically, Charaka gives you a good, beautiful definition of health, and he calls it balance. So good health means good balance. So what is that? Samadosha.
Yes.
Your kapha pitta vata, right? You don't have too much like acidity or too much mucus or too much dryness, airiness, you are like
Samadosha.
samadosha. Samagni, so you have hunger at the right time.
Mm,
When you are hungry all the time, that's a problem,
right.
right? Some people think that's funny, but that's not. uh, so you have to have hunger strike you at the right time, because what happens is, if you are conscious of your hunger all the time, then you cannot be focused on your study or your work, right? You're snacking all the time, but when the right time comes, you have already eaten. So to have the hunger ignited at the right time, so that is another balance. And then, by the way, once you eat, it takes 35 days for the food to digest,
36
to
days.
convert into what we call ojas or semen, right? Ojas. So it
35 days.
And
35
all the
days.
ovum for the women.
Yeah. So
Right.
it takes 35 days. So for 35 days, if you lead a systematic life without, like, one overnight we didn't sleep, things like that, breaks the digestion. Like the food is being converted into rasa, then blood, then muscles, then
Yeah.
bones, then bone marrow, then to ojas. So that is why Ayurveda talks about consistency. So another symptom of good balanced health is that you are
Samadhatu.
consistent. It's like,
Samadosha.
this time I
Samadosha.
sleep, this time I wake up, and I'm
Right.
more or less 95% I'm consistent. Samadhatu, malakriya. Third is, by the way, stool and urine, you only excrete 30% of the waste of the body. Sweat, another 30% or so. So mostly, once I came to America in the East Coast, I didn't sweat. That's
Right.
what
That's a
imbalance
serious
began.
imbalance. Yeah.
That's a serious imbalance. So
I
that's what,
hardly sweat. I'm
exactly.
on the East Coast.
So that is why, you must have seen on Facebook. I went to Cabo, my breathing festival.
Yeah, yeah.
I was amazed to see some of them were trainers of Olympians. They would train Olympic athletes, and just by breath. You know why? Because 50%, 40 to 50% of your body's waste is thrown out through breath. For example, we
Carbon.
breathe in oxygen, and two oxygen molecules stick to one carbon and then bring them out.
Mm.
There's a TED talk. One guy is explaining how much, if you drink 1 cup of coffee, it takes almost 4 to 6 hours for your breathing to throw out all the carbon. When you drink carbonated water, it takes so much of breathing to throw it
Oh,
out. So, and when I did this breathing, it was a like amazing new world. And of course, I did the mudra and meditation programs there, and they were blown away by what I had to offer. But this breathing, I realized that most people don't breathe well enough. We don't use our diaphragm. We don't sweat well. So actually, we need to sweat at least once a week. Like you said, we hardly sweat. So sauna. So once I came to Vegas, I really began to sweat again. And then I joined a gym here, like just for the sauna,
yeah.
the steam room, and then the benefits of sweating. And then once your breathing gets deep, like in this breathing festival, so we had, like, the only thing I could eat in Mexico was boiled vegetables, and I would eat a lot of boiled vegetables. I was not very heavy, but everybody else used to have like heavy lunch and everything. I was thinking, how will we sit 7 hours? Because there were like 6, 7 sessions, every day. But then you breathe deep enough, you feel so energetic. So that is why balance is in Ayurveda. It talks about balance in your skin tone, like not dry, wet, or it's like balanced. Second is you are able to clear your stomach, stool, urine. So
Malakriya.
malakriya,
Prasanna.
and then your breathing is deep, well enough. You sweat well. Prasanna atmendriya manaha. Then Charaka says, what is the other symptom? Prasanna, you are blissful.
Mm.
That is a symptom. Atma indriya manaha. So he says, here he means blissful is that his senses are controlled. Now, like I said, kapha imbalance, he's too attached. He's too greedy. Now, greed and attachment are symptoms of kapha imbalance. Okay. By the way, diabetes, what we wrote this book specifically for, is kapha vata imbalance. So kapha is greed. So those who are too greedy, they develop all these problems. Too greedy, too attached. Then pitta. So pitta, anger, jealousy. So he says you are free from these. Then vata. Vata means you are imbalanced, means you have aches, pains, lack of memory, like your mind just like air.
Mhm.
So when kapha pitta vata is balanced, then you are happy. That really got me like, wow, what a definition of health.
Health, yeah.
Prasanna atma indriya manaha
Swastha
swastha ityabhidhiyate. So I remember Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj used to always ask me, whenever he met, it's a beautiful question. He said, "Are you blissful?" And I would really think, "Oh my God, that's a faraway goal."
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I realize that wish I had known all these things earlier. I would have been so well balanced. But yes, okay, it's never too late. Life is a learning.
Yeah.
Life is all about learning.
Yeah.
So when we lead balanced, and second thing that what really Bhakti Samrit Maharaj also instructed me, when I was in India also, I was doing all these things. So he said, both of us, that your mission should be to help devotees with health, because he went through a very difficult health issues, and he doesn't want any, and he takes utmost care so that everyone else has the clear idea. He tries to help them, and I feel that good health makes it easy for us physically, mentally,
To
for
practice
in
Krishna
our sadhana.
consciousness.
Health is also a kind of sadhana. It's not that we are doing it, but the point is that we are also an example for others. So when we say we are Hare Krishna, and if you are always heavy, sick, or tired, that's
Yeah.
not a good example. Like when I went to this festival in Mexico, and when I did this mudra session, now they made like a TED talk like video out of it, and it's coming out in like 4 weeks. I'm waiting for it. It was amazingly well received. I got messages yesterday. It was like they were. So the point was, I was representing Hare Krishna. Everyone knew that I was a Hare Krishna and things like that. And the way I talked, the way I looked healthy, and I presented the deeper aspects, because they were into breath and all these things. So we are also an example for others. And when we bring about this balance with this science, it does help. Yeah. So these are, I would say, ultimately being so healthy, and at ease with yourself.
Yeah.
That is.
And the teachings, the practice of yoga and the Ayurvedic lifestyle so well aligned with the lifestyle of a bhakta, devotees. It just aligns so nicely. I mean, I cannot imagine my health to come back to my original self. I mean, you have had children. Like when you go through so many imbalances. You go through a lot. And then you are awake all the night, and nursing the kids, the baby, and everything. So that whole phase, and I was like, I really need something which can bring me back. I really need to, help myself. And the only thing with Krishna consciousness I could look up to was, my yoga mat, my practice, and the Ayurvedic lifestyle. So it has given me so much and so much hope, and it made me feel confident. Yes, I can homeschool, I can cook every day, I can clean, I can still teach classes, and it keeps me inspired, it keeps me going, because I'm constantly working on keeping my doshas in balance. Because if my doshas are imbalanced, then that's when I'm fogged, I can't sleep, I'm like stressed out and everything.
Hopeless, or you feel discouraged or something.
Discouraged. And then you can't be like that. Your children are constantly watching you. They want you, they want me all the time, and this is my world. This is my world, and I have to be there for them. And I'm like, I don't want my situation, I don't want to feel overwhelmed. Rather, I should come up with solutions that I can stand up for all this, which is right now Krishna has given me. And then I need to take care of myself and everybody, in the family, my kids especially. I'm more focused on children. That's just so natural for me.
Yeah.
So I feel that the answer was yoga and Ayurvedic lifestyle. and of course my little altar, my Krishna and kirtan and everything. But it's just so aligned. I don't have to make big changes, like as he mentioned, right, going to the gym. I'm like, please, I'm not that person. I just can't go spend hours over there. I just can't do it. I need more sattvic. I can't go boom boom boom. I'm like, my constitution is also kapha pitta, pitta kapha. So I'm very creative, and I have pitta qualities, but then I'm also very kapha. I'm very grounded. So I cannot go do all those things that he was telling me. I said, I'm not doing that. I just don't like the whole setup and the consciousness. It's just too much go go go. It's very rajasic. I need something very sattvic. It just doesn't align with my consciousness. I feel like once you are a devotee, like you can relate to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Once you're a devotee, then you can relate to this. So definitely food for the soul and detox delights. All this recipes and diet and lifestyle has been serving us so much for such a long time, and we are wanting to share it to the world, and that's the way to do
Another
it. So
another important point of inspiration, which I would like to add before I sometimes some inspiring thought comes back.
Yeah, that's
So
why I'm writing down things too.
yeah, I was listening to. So I come from Mangalore, right, South India, and I did my engineering in Manipal Institute of Technology, and the very next college was Kasturba Medical College, one of India's leading medical colleges, and one of the leading dean or doctor there was Dr. B.M. Hegde, and he's one of I really like his talks, and he was saying, and which I relate to, and for what I went through physically when I went through a tough time, my health, my sugar, everything was imbalanced, and he said that in modern medicine, right, the good things are you get good diagnosis, right, and then surgeries, these things are good, he says that, but then when you come to chronic diseases, they have no answer. Like you are a diabetic, that's it, you are on medication for the rest of your life according to them. Thyroid, your medication for rest of your life, there's no way out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas Ayurveda, it doesn't treat like she said, it doesn't stamp you're a diabetic. No, it says you have this imbalance, you correct this imbalance, you'll be
yes,
fine.
yeah, and that's the hope we are
And-
giving with the book. Yeah,
and
as we
the
talk about.
reason we got into it, what I realized, there were two objectives. So one, I realized that this is the lifestyle that can benefit devotees and anybody in general, because this is one way to get. And once you are once you are balanced, I'm sorry, your consciousness also gets elevated.
Mm.
If I'm able to, if I don't have brain fog, if I am sattvic by nature, then I sit in a Bhagavatam class. And I may not be a devotee, but I can understand it very clearly.
Mhm.
So I was amazed to understand. When I joined this PhD, I saw that Maharshi International University, so they do it so good. Like there's so many students there, masters, bachelors, and PhD. I was thinking, we as Hare Krishnas, we have so much depth. Only thing is we have to present it as a science. Why can't we do our own university? And we both decided. Once I joined my PhD, I told her, "You do your masters. I'm doing my PhD. We are starting our own
Oh, we had
university."
3 days of back and forth. He kept
Discussion.
pushing, and I said, "No, I'm too busy with kids. I'm too busy." So no, I'll help you. I said, "I know how much you can help me."
So, but I realized,
You're studying to create a university.
yes,
That's
so
the whole goal. So our
goal-
books are going to be textbooks. So basically, right now, his Krishna Yoga, the Mudra, and this is part of yoga teacher training, because they have the diet, they have the science, the Yoga Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita, and then they have the Mudra science.
our eventual
So
goal-
eventually, these would be serving.
And
along-
our real goal is, that's why we need a PhD, because if you have to be a dean or some higher position, and what we realized was, and if you look at, by the way, we would also like to say that after your last podcast, there was a group of devotees from Pure Bliss. They make energy bars, like Ayurvedic bars.
Yeah.
And those devotees connected with us after watching your show.
Oh, cool.
And the most wonderful thing, we had a discussion and how we could connect and cooperate.
Yeah.
By the way, they discussed, and in our university everyone discussed, and looking at after the pandemic and what people went through because of the bad junk food and junk lifestyle. So Ayurveda will be the next big thing in Europe and North America.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm only saying that. And you know what happened? As we discussed in June, so we are very happy to announce, thanks to you, that we tied up with them and we are like consultants for Pure Bliss Organic Energy Bars. So she made, after our whole study here, we
Yeah, so-
made energetic bars, Kapha, Pitta, Vata
No,
bars.
they're not Kapha Pitta Vata bars.
Nee, to balance. Yeah. We named them before, but now we have beautiful names for them: Tejas, Ojas, and Prana bars. So they will.
Specific for those constitutions.
No.
Yes.
This is
There
anyone.
is a beautiful science behind. So in Ayurveda, when the essence of balanced kapha dosha
Is Ojas.
is ojas, the essence of balanced pitta dosha is tejas, the essence of balanced vata dosha is prana.
But you
So-
should tell what is Ojas.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say now. So that's what I'm going to tell you. So ojas, tejas, and prana. When your body, all the three doshas are in balance, then you have ojas. Ojas is just something like the expression of being blissful. There is a shine, there is
Strong.
happiness, the inner happiness.
Yeah.
That a devotee is defined of. So you can get it from food, from air, like from the environment, and from your consciousness of how you have your emotional, intellectual exchanges. So that is ojas bar. And then there are ingredients in Ayurveda which are meant to develop ojas into your physiology, into your constitution. And then tejas is that spark, that you have this dullness, like dull skin, dull mind, dull, lethargic, and all those symptoms. So that body is lacking tejas. It's lacking the elements of balance of fire within the body. Or like it's like just imagine there was a nice bonfire and somebody put water. It's all like foggy, like you can't see, everything is airy. So it's like that agni is like diminished.
Intelligence. Fire of
Fire of intelligence. So those herb and that particular recipe is going to help you ignite tejas into your body. And prana, definitely the very life force which connects the soul and the body together. So when you have you don't have proper breath, you don't have proper balance of ether and air, then you are, like as I said, the indecisive and joints, aches and pains, and dryness in the skin, constipation, and all kind of digestive issues. I mean, there is n number of anyways, all the diseases are also vata, pitta, and kapha. They will all be again categorized into their imbalances. So the prana would give the balance
Energy.
of prana.
So
So here I was, so it's Krishna Sneha, Jai Govardhan, and their entire team. They are wonderful devotees, and it just started with consultation and
no,
talking
it
over.
started with the podcast.
Yeah, but with the podcast they connected, and then from there they said, hey, you know what, we wanted to get into developing Ayurvedic products. And then he said, oh, my wife would be the one, because I don't cook. I don't make anything.
And frankly, I took some of those bars to Mexico. Everyone who ate, like, wow,
Really?
tell you frankly, I'm not
Yeah.
boasting, but it was real. And sent samples to them, to their factory, Pure Bliss factory, and they were amazed
They liked it, yeah.
because there is no artificial sugar or anything. It's like date, figs, like those kind of.
But then also the nuts and herbs are classified with the nature, with the gunas. And then of course there is vata, pitta. As I said, ojas is related to kapha, tejas is related to pitta, and prana is related to balanced vata. So now we're not going to cater on diagnosing on everybody's imbalances, but no matter whatever is your body type, you would need ojas, tejas, and prana. So we will have those symptoms. Like if you're feeling like this, you can take this bar. So basically all three bars would be catering all the doshas. For whatever health reasons they are, they're lacking ojas, then ojas, they're lacking that spark, tejas, and they're lacking that, the process of breathing, or the dryness in the constitution, in the digestive tract, or the skin. So then you're going to take prana bar. So this is such a wonderful Ayurvedic approach towards health and wellness. And I simplified the whole process, and I wrote the recipes, and they are such wonderful devotees. And I was so like I felt like Krishna just bought this whole thing to, because I always wanted to do something like this, but I'm not the person to sit and like like make like the commercial, the business aspect of distributing and all those things, because I'm like, hey, look, I have too much to do, I need to play with my kids. I can't do all this,
Yeah.
my kids are young. So
Yeah.
but then it came, it like the whole the story is unfolding in such a way that they were also looking for somebody who could serve this science at the same time create a product. So
Right.
here is the first beginning, and
Yeah, so hopefully this summer between June and August, so
yes,
we will have
we
coming to a store near you.
Wow, wonderful.
all the
oh no,
all over US.
all over
Yeah.
US they will distribute, but yeah,
Yeah.
these are like, and I was
And this
always
will be the first fully branded. Like some people use this is this sugar, that sugar, and all these things, but this will be fully branded Ayurvedic bars. Like we will say this is Ayurveda.
Previously, no one's done really the
Done.
Ayurvedics part of
Yeah.
that brand, right? No
So
one's
you,
done that
so
before.
you should
Yeah.
take credit for your podcast for putting this together. First
Uh,
Ayurvedic bars.
I have a question to make it more personal. I, for the past 6 months, have been going to the gym, and the reason I started going was I was feeling really lethargic, and I was feeling like I didn't have much energy. So after going to the gym, I go 3 times a week, and I just lift weights. I don't like go crazy or anything, but I lift weights. I get my heart rate up and things like that, and I feel better. I do feel better. But from an Ayurvedic perspective, I understand that's not the best thing. I remember Yogi Nataraj Prabhu, you were talking about that in a previous episode, like that kind of rajasic thing is not the best thing. So, but I do feel the good effects of it. So what is your kind of viewpoint on like this modern scientific suggestion of weightlifting, cardiovascular, like real heavy cardio that's obviously helping people lose weight, feel better about themselves, get their blood flowing, get their hearts pumping and things like that, but kind of from the Ayurvedic side of things.
From the yogic side, like I am very great. I'm very lucky in that sense. My godbrother has been like 3 generations into yoga, the traditional Krishnamacharya yoga, and I went through few years. Like I went through once, like after doing sun salutations, my lower back was so much in pain, and then he told me it's weak, so I could not stop doing it because I cannot go back. I had to finish because I had to get it stronger. So why I'm telling this is, then I had the same with my heels for some time, and gradually as I did the asana series, I could see a whole new flexibility, a change in my, as they say in yoga, hip opening, all these forward bends.
yeah.
And I'm at a stage now where I'm doing that Kurmasana. You will see videos hopefully in a month. Like we are now making a video course on this book, and we are making a video course on mudra and a video course on yoga. That's why we are kind of focusing on that right now, and studying it, practicing deeper. That's our goal right now. And what I realized, the difference between gym and yoga. See, in yoga, there is a very much, all the asanas are designed to align prana. That in the long run, it opens up. Your joints become more flexible. Whereas if you see, when you do weights and other things, it's good. I mean, it's exercise. It does definitely, it burns sugar, it balances insulin. You still get those benefits, but it's a matter of guna. The sattva guna, yoga is to experience only sattva guna. And where does it come to? To come to pranayama. If you see every asana, when you do, eventually the final position of an asana leads you to deep breathing. Deep breathing. You can hold an asana and then ananta samapatti bhyam, meditation on, like when you do sun salutations, you meditate on the sun in your heart, and then you meditate on the chakras. So the difference that I see is in yoga, that alignment and that flexibility, that kalari payat. See, that doesn't mean this doesn't have benefit. Definitely it does. There are benefits there, but you get more kind of that balance of prana and the sattva guna that you can experience in yoga. And that eventually leads to, it is designed in such that each series of yoga, the last positions, you get into meditative positions like the lotus pose and all things. You are able to hold the lower abdomen in, and you are able to balance the air here, right? And then when you see, when you do Gayatri, you hold your breath. So asana is kind of fulfilling that, taking you in that direction. Whereas when you do weights, you are kind of heavy here, there, although it gives you strength, but we would say it kind of tightens up vata.
Oh, totally. It's totally tightening, and it's not,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't feel flexible at all. Like I feel
yeah.
much,
That,
I do feel good. I do feel like I'm gaining muscle, and I feel better and more energetic, but the flexibility part, totally not there.
yeah.
Yes,
So
it
that
kind of makes you actually more tight.
it
Tight.
makes you a little bit tight.
Yeah.
Now that can also pack up more pitta or rajas, So whereas yoga opens up the prana
Yeah.
for sattva. So that is why, and I had a discussion with a very, very senior Vaidya, like in India, regarding before we wrote this book, regarding all the recipes we were having. And in the book, in the end, I have put asanas, which are beneficial for, and mudras, which are beneficial for diabetes and weight loss and all these things. I have put a series there in the book. And then he was saying, as I was discussing with him, I was discussing with the same topic about exercise, because in the book, because many people say, walking is, walking in generally is good. It's recommended in Ayurveda, all these things.
Yeah.
But what about exercise and things? He said, the difference between exercise and yoga is mystical. The way it's designed, the
Yes.
way the asanas are designed, it's a design of God, we say nature, but it's design of God. And he's designed it in such a way
Yes.
that it activates those nerves which you don't see, right? It Vajrasana or Bharadwajasana,
Yeah.
or these activate those Vajranadi, and Bharadwaj, it's like the Rishi posture,
Yeah. To give a practical, practical understanding of what happens after you practice yoga. So I do this one-on-one session, and I customize the yoga practice and the meditation practice based on their, mental, physical, and whatever is going on in their life. And then one of I wouldn't say my client, because my client always end up becoming my very good friends. So she asked me, like, what do you do? What happened? I was so different before the practice. I was like so jittery, angry, and I had so many things in the head. And after the practice, I feel like calm, and I feel like something like, what happened? I said, see, there is earth, water, fire, air, and ether within your physiology. I wouldn't go into Ayurveda explaining. I said, so basically, yoga and Ayurveda both are dealing with the 5 elements within your body, and they are constantly working to find their balance. Ether wants to go sit into its place, air needs to go sit into its place, earth needs to go sit in its own seat, and fire also, your digestive fire. So when you're practicing asana, when you're practicing the breath work, you're aligning. So when you are doing gym, in gym, when you're working out, you are thinking something, your breath is completely out of order, and you're doing something. So like you are scattered, basically your consciousness and your breath is not aligned. And the very first prerequisite of practicing yoga is alignment of your breath, your focus, and your attention. You bring it in one alignment, yoga. So when you align, that is the key to balance the 5 elements within your physiology, and that itself clears your vata, your anxiety, your depression, clears the pitta, your anger and frustration, and your kapha, your digestion, everything. You digest well. So that's what actually happens. So yoga and Ayurveda. So Ayurveda deals with the diet and lifestyle and everything, and yoga is mystical, as it said. It works in the nadis, it works in the shrotas. So they are constantly, the practices are meant to bring the balance of earth, water, fire, air, and ether back into its own seat. And that's when you experience, oh, something shifted. No, it came back to balance. You were shifted.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense, that yoga actually
Anything.
so much more to do than just the physical aspect of it. There's a mental aspect, there's a focus aspect.
Yes.
while weightlifting or exercise, just normal exercise, is something that doesn't have to do anything with, I mean, in some ways it does have to do with focus, but mostly it doesn't. It
Yeah.
keeps you tight, and there's like a real big rajasic component to it, I think.
Yeah. Like for example, when I
Yeah.
do Surya Namaskar, when I do my yoga every morning, I put Purusha Sukta.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
I don't listen to Purusha Sukta. I listen to rock music when I'm lifting weights.
No,
That's what I was about to say. Like it was like doof, 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 doof.
when he sent me, he said, "You need some time. You need to practice yoga. Go to the gym." And I went like first day, second day, third day. I came. I don't want to go there. The
Right.
sun, the televisions, and people like it's
Yeah,
too
it's too much. That's true.
too much for me. Get this off. Waste the money. I'm not going back.
Right.
And then when I just had the second baby, and it's like, okay, you just go for 2 hours. I said, I can't stand that for half an hour. Forget about the 2 hours. So then he said, you go use the membership. I'm not going there. I couldn't. My energies wouldn't align. I'm like, I have my own, what do you call, you lock and seal your consciousness. You have locked your consciousness into that, trying to always stay in sattva guna. So then all those were bombarding my consciousness, and I'm like, no, this just doesn't align with me.
And one of the
You know?
things that I learned, which inspired me also, why the path of yoga, which where I was convinced was Uddhava Gita. Why yoga was so important was Uddhava Gita, because in Uddhava Gita, Krishna, before Uddhava is asking Uddhava to meditate on his form, he says, first you purify yourself with Nadi Shodhana Pranayam. And as I did more research into Nadi, what happens is, today what we are is a product of many, many births of memories, right? We have many births, many experiences, lot of karma, and all those psychic experiences, tendencies are present, like in the subtle body. And that needs to be cleared, because every time you sit to chant, some thought comes, means that is sitting in the nerve there. When that is cleared off, and Krishna says, of purifiers, I am the wind.
Mhm.
Pranayama is meant to clear. So the path, you prepare the body with asana. Asana means to be, the very word asana means to, like a seat. So you make your body like a perfect seat for the prana to think of, the supreme, So that convinced me that, yoga, although I did gym for some time when I was very weak, but then in the long run, like I would say, it has its benefits. Like for one who is very weak, just to gain a little muscle and other things, it is beneficial. It's not that it's not. Otherwise, nobody would do it. But
Right.
but
It
but
has its own place for sure.
but then, as a spiritual practitioner, in the long run, when you want to have your like beyond 60s, beyond the age of 60, beyond the age of 70, Krishnamacharya had a fracture on his thigh at the age of 93. And he did not go to the doctor. He did some asanas and meditation like pranayama on his bed itself at the age of 93, and he healed his fracture. He wanted to show the effect at the age of 93. So I thought, okay, let me invest in something for if I live long.
So for me, would you say that so try to add in some kind of yoga component to my
Yes, I would say
Along with
start
the gym,
off.
yeah.
I would say start off just with sun salutations, because that is both an asana as well as an exercise. So it gives you benefits of both.
Yeah.
If you just
And how many per day? Something like per day or
11 per day. If you do, that's a good start. Like 10 minutes, right? One will take 10 to about a minute. So if you do 10, actually the Surya Namaskar, I'll send you a recording if it's
Sure,
very good. So the sun salutations are like, for example, when you do like this, and then when you bend forward, that one step, it changed my life. To tell you frankly, why? Because I was doing Surya Namaskar for so many years, I didn't see much difference. So then when my godbrother and we started doing together, He said, when you bend forward, bend the knee, right? And squeeze your tummy in. Slowly keep your hands next to the feet. He gave me all the right alignment.
Mhm.
Few days after doing that, he said the major muscle in your body is your hamstring. When that becomes long enough, it supports your lower back. You are able to bend forward nicely. And when I went to Mexico, I taught this. I was asked to teach yoga every morning, and all these participants came. And when I did the slow, proper aligned movements, everyone said, "We never learned yoga like this." I was mystified because then your muscles become happy just with that sun salutation. But I was doing it for so many years, like people do hot yoga, power yoga. It's like you sweat yourself and try to
Very
force yourself.
fast. Yeah.
It's not you
Yeah.
you don't force yourself, you
Uh,
align yourself. You do it right, breathe right. So maybe we can do a session like we last time in the fasting we did some, but we did not follow it
I
up.
don't think. Yeah. We did. I think some breathing thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to add Surya Namaskar. I think that's a good idea to
Yeah,
add.
even if you do just that for like a month, you will see a tremendous difference.
Sure. Sure.
It's essential. Yoga is essential for kids. Yoga is such
I
a
want to do another podcast about kids because you're talking about, that you do it with yoga with teens and all that kind of thing. I'd love to hear more about that. I think all our viewers will also love to hear
That's
about
our
that.
next book.
What's that?
That's our next book, How to Sneak Superfood into Kids' Diet.
and it'll have
Oh
yoga.
my God.
It's an Ayurvedic approach, and there is nature's process that you could have immune system to be stronger. There's an Ayurvedic system, and introducing those herbs, and I'm putting that together. There are recipes, but now I'm in that stage where Bhumi, my daughter, she's 9 now, so I'm having her cook with me, so add those stories and kind of give some glimpse of how at different ages what you could do, and then give people a hope. Yes, you could really have a lot of healthy options of those cookies and the cupcakes and all those recipes, but you're sneaking in superfoods in there, and then kids
Like you
are
can
taking
make
it, and then they are building up their immune system for the whole life. So, and Ayurveda has given so much of that. There are so many tips and recipes and ingredients that you need to add. So I'm going to talk about that in the book. And yeah, that's
now, for example, many kids suffer from eczema, all
Yeah.
right? And like we stopped for Nimai, we also had, so we stopped wheat. Second, we put Manuka honey. Third, we gave coconut oil. That's it.
yes.
And
Whenever
we gave it to some of our clients. I have like a subscription program. I do meditation and yoga every day, and some of them had kids and they tried it. It's
it
perfectly
works,
well.
it
So all
works,
these
it works. They're
recipes.
very simple, just very simple tips. Eliminate that is causing vata in your constitution, because that's a symptom of dryness. And then bring in the unctuousness. When you give them coconut oil, the dryness is going away, and you will always have flare up of eczema towards the spring and towards the fall season, because that's when dryness is kicking in into the nature. So vata season is coming in, so it'll show up on the skin. So that's when okay, now you have to change. You need to change the diet. You need to change this. So it's amazing. Just a little bit of knowledge of Ayurvedic dinacharya, and some herbs which are good for your body type, and then you will
Like
prevent so
for
many
example,
health issues.
we make cookies in the book, but they are made with almond flour.
Mm.
For example,
Semi
right? Not
almond
not
and
not,
millet
not white
flour.
flour or wheat flour.
Yeah.
So millet flour.
Some of them would have a little bit just for the binding, but then most of it is with some herb, and the recipe is meant to cure and help with constipation, dryness, and
Something I
all.
like about what you're saying about Ayurveda is that it's like what you're putting in is what's kind of making things wrong with you is regarding to disease or any chronic thing, while um, modern medicine is like just trying to put a band-aid on it and the quickest way possible, but it's not addressing like what are you putting into your body that's making you feel a
Yeah.
certain way or making you, yeah, or what's the source of this, like that example of the eczema thing, like I also heard that recently as well, like it's about what people are eating
Yes.
and to cure it from within, instead of just put something on it and then try to heal it that way, but not changing your diet about it, or not changing anything about what you're eating, but just try to
Yes.
put a band-aid or something on it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
See, that's the thing, because in Ayurveda it says that the pradnya aparat that I told you about is following the balanced lifestyle, the balanced routine. When that is missing, that's when the diseases emerge.
Mm.
So Ayurveda is also like following nature, following intellect, or nature's intelligence.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining me. I always am so excited to talk to you, and you definitely met the mark again. So let's do it again sometime after your other book, or if whenever we want to talk about that next topic would be really fun. So if you want to get in touch with Sundari Mataji and Yogi Nataraj Prabhu, you can look at their Facebook pages. So there's Food for the Soul, which is that first book. You can search that on Facebook, and this is their personal page. Yogi Nataraj and Sundari Dasi, you can see on Facebook. Get in touch with them, get into their programs. Also, when this airs, we will put the links for the books in the comments: Detox Delights and Food for the Soul, and also the Mudra book as well. Those are the three, right?
These
Yeah,
are
yeah,
all. This is also on Amazon. Yes.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're all on Amazon. We'll
Sure.
put those links up for you there. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed our talk.
Same
Thank you
here.
so much,
Thank you for
Namarasa.
having us.
Yes. Please stay on. Please stay on for a minute more. I'm just going to turn off the live. Thank you for everyone for listening and for joining the podcast. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Krishna Hare